back to Typecast Heroes, where we believe typology can save the world. I'm Amanda Fogelson.
And I'm Jessie Miller, and today we are continuing our series on the 16 types. So if you've been watching us for a while, you know that we've been doing this series on all of the cognitive functions and the top of the cognitive stack. And there are a couple of videos you probably want to watch before you watch this one, just so you can have that background knowledge. So we do have a playlist of all of the cognitive functions and a video specifically dedicated to the cognitive stack. But we did want to dedicate an episode to each of the 16 types just to show them all a little bit of love. So today we are talking about the ESTP.
Just a quick reminder that this series is a teaser before our 16-episode podcast series is going to air this summer. If you haven't watched our first episode, please go back and watch. That is where we explain what Typecast Heroes is all about. We are currently collecting interviews, 100 of each of the 16 personality types, so 1,600 total, to serve as a foundation of a study regarding type and the education system. If you want more information, again, go back, watch our very first video called Welcome to Typecast Heroes.
All right, so as I said, we are talking about ESTPs today, and I love ESTPs. My dad is an ESTP, and I have the pleasure of knowing several ESTPs through this project, and they are so much fun. They're so goofy, and I feel like they just do not get their due in society. So I definitely wanted to give them a little appreciation with this video. In fact, I've had a couple people accuse me of fangirling ESTPs and ESFPs in the Extroverted Sensing video. So if you want to see me fangirl, go watch that video, because apparently I did that. I don't know what that means, but watch it and judge for yourself. So now we're going to talk about the cognitive stack of the ESTP. And just a reminder, if you have not watched that cognitive stack video, we do use the terminology that was established by John Beebe, Marie-Louise von Franz, Catherine Briggs, and Isabel Myers, and all of their words that they use to describe the cognitive functions. And again, we have many videos where you can watch what those things are and what they mean, but just a brief overview. Cognitive functions are mental processes in our brain that help us make decisions and take in information. And I feel like I say that so many times.
All the time.
So all day, every day. If you don't know what they are by now,
we have a video on it. Go watch.
Go binge. Go binge all of the episodes. And if you're an ESTP, binge them on double speed. Because I know I'm not going to get you to sit down for very long. But that's okay. So in the first part of the cognitive stack, we have the hero. And remember, the hero is what we are best at. So for ESTPs, their hero is extroverted sensing. Extroverted sensing is when you take in an environment and it is real time. A lot of people on the internet argue about which sense is most connected to reality, but my argument has always been that extroverted sensing is incredibly connected to reality. They encounter an environment and they see everything as it is. Versus everyone else, all of the other cognitive functions, which are projecting. Extroverted sensing is the one that interacts with an environment and sees it as it just is, which is amazing to me because they don't have any distractions keeping them from looking for things. Like when I lose an item, I can look at a table for 15 minutes and not see something right in front of me because extroverted sensing is my inferior function. The extroverted sensors, they do not have that issue. That also makes them incredibly reactive. I gave that theoretical situation of a ESTP being in a grocery store when it's getting robbed, and the ESTP is the very first one to react. They're going to react like right now because they see the situation and they know how to respond quickly. And that is because extroverted sensing is their hero. So extroverted sensing is when you come into an environment and you look at all of the things, all of the concrete detail, and you see it as it is. You react quickly and you take in information. And your mental energy is focused outward. But because of that, sometimes it can make it difficult for you to introspect. So to balance an ESTP, they have a second function, also called the auxiliary, the mother function, the father function, or the parent function, called introverted thinking. And again, we've got that video, go watch it. The introverted thinking is when you look at all of the data and the information and you decide, this is what makes sense to me. This makes logical sense. This is accurate for me and my belief system. And they have that in their second function. Now, because they are very extroverted people and they also have introverted thinking as their second, this is where they come across as very abrasive at times. They can come across as very blunt, as very confident, as very much knowing their thoughts and what they think and they're not afraid to tell you what they think. They have a tendency to not be afraid to tell you what they think. So I did get corrected in the Extroverted Sensing video because I said ESTPs always know who they are. So sometimes ESTPs do have to take time to look into that second function and really build up what they think, because sometimes they can avoid introspecting and then they don't have all of their thoughts carefully laid out. And so when that happens, they can have a kind of identity crisis where they don't actually know what they believe in. So I apologize for saying that. Again, all of these things are just a tend to have or could be, or trends or patterns that people present as. So the pattern for ESTP is they typically know what they believe in, and they've got pretty strong opinions because of introverted thinking. So that, again, is their parent function. And I usually call it more of like a compulsive function, because people don't tend to spend a lot of time there as they go throughout their life, because it's their opposite attitude. So it's like that is the one that kind of keeps them responsible. It keeps them in check. So when they're living too much in the moment, when they're having too much fun for the ESTP, the parent function is like, nope, we yank you back.
Be responsible.
Be responsible. Let's focus. Let's remember, does this make sense? Is this logical to me? Does this align with what I've decided are my principles? So an ESTP is a bridge type because they have introverted thinking as their second and then extroverted feeling as their third. Extroverted feeling is focused on the values and beliefs and all of the emotions of the people around them. But it's in a funny position because it is in the child. So it's the girl, boy, child, or tertiary position. And that position either can be very playful and kind of innocent and fun, or it can be kind of bratty.
Super bratty.
Super bratty. I have a bratty TI all day. But because they have an extroverted feeling in their third function and introverted thinking in their second, that means that they can almost use these two things equally. And so they're kind of fighting. And these are judging decisions. So when they're making a decision, they are fighting between, do I want to use what I think, or do I want to use what everybody else around me is valuing? And those kind of two things are sort of fighting. And especially because extroverted feeling is in the third position and it can be kind of, again, playful and kind of bratty, that is where they kind of have a tendency to push boundaries or test the boundaries of people around them, or maybe play around too much sometimes because they're wanting to establish where those rules are. And this happens especially for younger ESTPs. Now, as ESTPs get older, this is where ESTPs really just want everybody around them to have a good time. They just want everybody to like them. They want to they're incredibly funny. They just want everybody to
loosen up and have a good time.
Yeah, just enjoy themselves. Just like, let's just all party with the ESTPs.
Yeah.
Because they're good at that. So in the last function, the fourth function, it's introverted intuition. And remember, introverted intuition is on an axis with extroverted sensing. Introverted intuition assigns meaning to things. It assigns abstract concepts and philosophy. And it's a perceiving function. And it is in that fourth position. So remember, the inferior position is the one, especially as we're younger, we feel kind of self-conscious about it. We feel kind of defensive about it. So as an ESTP is going throughout their life, they can feel attacked when people tell them, oh, you're not very deep. You don't go very in depth. You're just the one to have fun with, but you can't really have a serious conversation with me. In fact, we just had a situation on our page where we called the ESTP the philosopher and people were losing their mind saying that's impossible.
Yeah.
However, I know that that is inaccurate because I've spoken to many ESTPs who can get very deep. So the way that I usually explain it is ESTPs can have a very great philosophical conversation with me, but then they come up for air. They don't have to stay there. They don't have to live down there. And because of that, and that is because of their inferior introverted intuition. So it's also called the aspirational position because it's something that as we get older, so as an ESTP, hits their 30s or 40s, they start to really want to dive into, what does this all mean? What does this mean to me? How can I see how this plays out in the grand scheme of things?
Big picture, yeah.
Yes, and the big picture starts to really matter to them. And so that is one of the reasons why we want to kill the stereotypes of the ESTP, because they're not just dumb jocks. They're not just the party boys. They're not just the adrenaline junkies who are going to go out and do all of the crazy things. They can have great conversations. They can have great discussions. They can be very intellectual and read all of these complex nonfiction books and then have like amazing insight into what the books are saying. And then they're going to go have fun with you after. And that's awesome. It is a great way to be, and it is super undervalued. So if you notice in the cognitive stack, the ESTP has extroverted sensing, introverted thinking, extroverted feeling, and then introverted intuition. So in the ego, in the top of their stack, they do not have a room for their own feelings or emotions. And unfortunately, that means that they don't always know how they are feeling. They're not super in touch with their personal sentiment. So what tends to happen is if you are pushing a ESTP in the corner, this is where role of society comes in, because society really needs to be more understanding of ESTPs in particular. And this is why what we teach, which is language, is so important. When you are somebody who leads with extroverted sensing, the future feels almost not real. Again, I mentioned this in the extroverted sensing video, but I've talked to some of them who say they can't even envision things 3 weeks out. They can't. It is very difficult for them. And if you are trying to make an ESTP make a decision about something 6 months from now and you are putting them in a corner, that can become very stressful, especially since they don't have a strong handle on their own emotions when they're younger, or if they're in a period of a lot of stress, and you are literally backing them into a situation where they have to give you a commitment now. That is incredibly nerve-wracking for them. So society needs to be more understanding about their limitations when it comes to what they want to do and how their emotions work. Extroverted sensing can, yes, it has a lot of gifts, but it also really puts a difficult time on planning for the future.
Yeah.
So you need to be mindful of that when you're interacting with an ESTP.
Specifically, if you're in a relationship with an ESTP, that's probably something to write down as we say it, because that can really affect your friendship, marriage, whatever it is, parent-child, whatever it is. This is just something that is in them. It's naturally who they are. So just know that as hard as you push, it might not actually be helping.
And then they also have a tendency to have a very quick temper when it comes to that sort of situation, when you are demanding something of them far out into the future. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't eventually learn how to plan far out into the future. Now, again, something else that we are going to be really talking about in the future is type development. So I already know that people are going to watch this and say, oh man, she said ESTPs can never plan for the future. As ESTPs age, as they get older and they really get into their introverted intuition, they can start planning better for the future. But that takes practice and that takes mindfulness. So if your ESTP is not there yet, be patient. Be patient with them and help them, because I can tell you right now, fighting with them or being aggressive with them is not the way to go. It is not the way to approach an ESTP, because especially since, again, they've got an extroverted feeling child. Their third function is extroverted feeling. So if they know that you're upset, that's like injuring that child function, and they get really injured inside because they don't want to let people down. They really, really don't. And what that could look like is then becoming very defensive because they are protecting that child. That's how it works. It's if you see the, again, go watch the cognitive function stack video that we were talking about. But if you see it, there is a relationship between these functions and how they protect each other and how they lead each other and all that. And that's exactly what it would seem like, is being on the defense because you don't feel good around them. And they hate that. And they're so in touch with their environment that if the environment is a bad situation and they can't see the future very well, and then the people around them are feeling bad things, and then you're coming at them, that is so claustrophobic for them. So again, be patient with them, wait for them to tap into that introverted intuition. And as they age, they'll get better at planning far out, at seeing the bigger picture, at seeing the details of things, but you've got to give them time. So now we're going to talk about their role in society. So ESTPs have a special role in society for me. Obviously, first responders, they make great first responders. They make great people in a crisis. They make great people who do things quickly, who have to respond quickly, right? But introverted intuition and extroverted sensing, they have this unrelenting vision, and unfortunately, That often means that they're very stubborn. Extroverted sensing, though, it's not like that. So for the ESTP, if they have a great vision for something, if they've got a plan for a business or a project, or like my dad builds pools, he builds like incredibly complicated and expensive high-end fancy pools. If there's a problem, extroverted sensing gives you the ability to change your plan really quickly, because you're not married to these ideas like introverted sensing or introverted intuition would be. So in that instance, when they're very adaptable, that's a very valuable skill set to have in any industry.
In any human.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
So it's very valuable to society. They're just great tactile, like, what is that word I want to use? Tactical individuals. Tactile? They're great tactical individuals when it comes to having amazing tactics for doing things in society.
So a little bit of personal growth for you guys watching out there. And I'm in particular focusing on the age range that tends to watch our videos, which is about 25 to 35. So mainly looking at you guys. Again, this is just...
And the ladies.
In the ladies. What we often see is that a lot of times, because you guys are so quick to be able to change your mind on the fly and come up with new plans and new ideas and all of that, as positive as that is, sometimes you guys are also pretty quick to maybe throw in the towel if something doesn't necessarily go your way. And what that looks like is your SE and your TI really coming together. And if it's something super personal to you that makes sense to you, and maybe your team didn't do it the way that you wanted it done, a lot of times, often we can see ESTPs just kind of say like, all right, you do it your way, then I'm out. I'll go find something better or something else. So my advice to you guys is to breathe and make smart decisions, and don't react so much in the moment. Give yourself a second to sit back and think about the situation that you are in.
We hope you like this video. Again, we've got nothing but love for ESTPs. I've got my ESTPs buddies out there, and my dad. Hey, Dad. What's up? We're friends. I like my dad. My dad supports me.
My dad. Any of you who've watched the ENTJ video, my dad ended up watching it and loved it.
I like her dad.
And finally admitted that
he's
he is
an ENTJ. And I like her dad. It's fine. Yes. But my dad's pretty cool. ESTPs are cool out there. ESTP ladies out there too. Y'all are awesome as well. I've had the pleasure of talking to a couple of you today, actually. And I've got a whole lot of love and respect. And if you don't believe me after watching this one, go watch Extroverted Sensing again. See all the fangirling. Because being human is hard.
And this should make it just a little bit easier. Thanks for watching.
Like, share, subscribe. Share all of the things, please, because we
share all the things.
Y'all, I'm going to get in trouble on Facebook. I'm fishing for interviewees. Please share this video so I can stop getting in trouble.
Facebook and Reddit, actually.
Yeah. Banned on our...
Banned, yeah.
INFJ, INTJ banned.
Yeah. That's so sad. It's so sad, especially because we love them so much, but it's fine. It'll be fine. We'll be fine. But now we need your help more than ever, because we still have so many interviews that we need.
About 600.
Yeah. So,
700.
700. So, still a lot of interviews. That means we've also gotten a ton of interviews, but we still need more. So please, if you're an ESTP and you have not interviewed, go ahead and contact us and we'll be in touch. Just leave a comment below, or go ahead and message us on Facebook or Instagram, or also Reddit and Discord. If you're an ESTP and you have interviewed and you have friends or family of any type, please send them our way. Thanks so much for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
Let's gather around the type fire and sing our type fire song. Our MBTITYPOLOGY song. And if you feel uncomfortable, then know there's nothing wrong.